Hello, fellow glue sniffers and sprue snippers, and welcome back to Blitzkrieg Model Works. I'm Bob. You know me as Darth on the forums. How's it going, everybody? So, after a couple months wait, the wait for the new MiG Ammo King Tiger 1945 limited edition 2-in-1 kit is finally here. The 2-in-1 means that you can build this either as a March 1945 final production King Tiger, or the proposed July 1945 King Tiger that had a different engine deck, which is actually shown on the box art. There was another change which they didn't replicate in here, and I'll get into that during the review. Essentially, this kit is a rebox of Takom's excellent King Tiger kit with 4 new sprues that all say ammo on them. So they were made specifically for this kit. The turret, from what I can understand, I don't have the Takom kit to verify this with. The only change they seem to have made is on the turret sides for these rangefinder bumps, and there's some locator marks on the turret, and that's apparently all they've done for the turret. I'll go over that in a minute, because you can't really do a true July 1945 KT because the turret is subtly but significantly different from the March version, which is in the kit. There was a book that I had put out that was published by Tom Jensen, Hilary Doyle, documenting the history of the King Tiger from prototype all the way up to final production. There was some drawings in here, and I had ordered this book shortly after I put this on pre-order. It still hasn't arrived. I've canceled that order, and I really should have just gone through the great guys at RZM Imports. I'll put a link in the comment section to them. They're really great for getting your books. I found a used one that was like $20 Canadian, and I really couldn't justify spending, by the time it gets here it's going to be about $70-80 for basically one kit that I'm going to build. I'm not really a Tiger guy. I'm more of a Panther guy, even in the Paper Panther world, or Paper Panzer world, sorry. So I'm just going to move the camera around over to the bench, and we'll go over some of the parts, what's old with the Takom stuff, and all the new stuff, plus the color plates and everything else. Okay, so just hang on a sec. Okay, the instructions are nice heavy paper, matte in color for the front page. They give you everything for the March 1945 and the proposed model of July 1945. Obviously, the war did not go on long enough for the July 45 variant to be put out. The factories were overrun, I believe, in early April before they could even start production of a lot of the parts, so it never really went anywhere. The July 45 also includes in the kit, you have your option of the 88mm gun or a 105mm gun, which apparently was proposed, but depending on who you talk to and what you read, it either was just kind of discarded as not feasible, or the proposal didn't meet the deadline to be able to go into this particular variant. So you get some little instructions on how to build. Nice parts map. And I'm presuming this goes together the same as the regular Takom King Tiger. I'm going to also put a link in the description below to another channel, Andy's Hobby Headquarters. He did a three-piece video on building the Takom King Tiger with the full interior. He did quite a good job. So there's nothing really new. I think the only thing that would be different is the drive sprocket, because the tracks are different for the final version. The tracks, by the way, come in link and length version. I'll show you that when they're there, and they are the final version where it is the single type link instead of the 2-piece link. Separate torsion bars so you can pose the suspension articulated. The rear plate, which has a couple of errors from the from the drawings that I was able to find online. The rear deck is pretty good, except this, from what I can tell, this one piece is raised high, and according to what I can see on the drawings, it's supposed to be pretty much flush with the top for the July version only, not for the March version. And here's where you start getting some real differences. You have the March 1945 version, which is pretty much a standard King Tiger engine deck, but with anti-aircraft armor plates. Or the July version had quite a revised engine deck. Instead of the normal cast grills and the anti-aircraft armor, they had armored vents, more like Venetian blinds. The turret, unfortunately for the July version, the turret is incorrect. It is subtle, but when you see the difference in the drawings, it is a pretty drastic change. Even though it is pretty subtle, if you don't know the difference, you probably won't be able to tell. And the difference is, in order to fit the rangefinders, which they show you the locating parts here, I'll show you on the part. If you're doing the March version, you cut those off. If you're doing the July version, leave them on. But they would be right about here, and in order to fit the rangefinder, the parts inside, and have them operate properly, the hull roof had to be raised, and they did this by extending this plate in front of the commander's hatch about, to scale, it would be about 3 millimeters. It would be roughly where this mount is. This mount would be used to hoist the tracks on the turret up and down and to help haul ammo in if they had an injured crewman. So this should be out more, and then the corresponding angle on the turret sides should be out more, and then this front plate is at much more, it's a little bit shorter because of the length that's cut off of it, and it's at much more of a pronounced angle. But for the turret, that would be about it, and I will be correcting that in the build because I'm doing a July version. So, nothing new. They do have some new IR, which looks pretty nice. Oddly, even though I believe it's actually on MiG's site, they actually say they include an MG42 with this, because it was designed, they were going to put an MG42 in because for the Germans it was actually cheaper to manufacture than the 34. But they put an MG34 in the kit. Not a huge deal, not a deal breaker by any means. It is a very nice MG34. It's just kind of odd that they would advertise it as coming with a 42 when they give it a 34. And then there's your gun barrels. Now the 88 is a single piece barrel with a multi-piece muzzle, whereas the 105 is a two-piece barrel with a multi-piece muzzle. And there's two different matlets as well. And then your final assembly. And that's it for the instructions. Okay, we'll start off with the upper and lower hulls. Lower hull is a standard bathtub design, nicely molded. You get some interior design work. There is no interior in the kit. All your holes for your torsion bar suspension, your bump stops, and the idler is keyed, so it's not adjustable. The escape hatch is molded open. Simple, straightforward, nothing fancy. Upper hull. Whole rear engine deck is open. Don't cut these off. These support the radiator housings. Tooth turret ring. Nice opening. Nice detail there, I guess, for the interior kit. So you can actually have everything posed apart. I think that's how Andy from Andy's Hobby Headquarters did it. So pretty nice. Nice detail in the weld seams and the like. Okay, this is the turret body. The roof is separate. The lower pieces separate as usual. I believe the only difference between the kit, the part you get with the TACOM kit, and this one with MIG, are these little locating rings for the rangefinders for the for the July version. If you're doing the March version as per the instructions, you would cut those off. There's a nice subtle rolled texture in there. Not a huge amount, nothing really pronounced, but it's there. I'll explain later when I get to the turret roof that the shape is a little off. I'll actually show you some pictures here. These are really crappy. These are screen captures that I got from the Scheifer book. Oh, and by the way, the book in question is this one here. I printed off the cover. I'll put a link in the description below to RZM Imports. They stock it for $49.95 US. And this has the drawings. And I found an electronic copy online, but it was really poor resolution, and the pictures were really crappy quality. So this is your typical Henschel turret King Tiger. This would be the March 45 version. Actually, it's not because of the sprockets. I just noticed that. But when you go to the July version, I'll try and get these as close as I can. You can see the turret roof comes out a fair bit more, and there's quite the pronounced slope. So it is kind of unique. If you didn't see this, you probably wouldn't even know the difference. I'm sure most people wouldn't. But I know the difference, so I'm going to change that. And as well, I'm going to put the 105mm gun on, even though it wasn't part of it. Who says this is going to be a July version? It could be, a December version. Okay, I'm going to go through the sprues in alphabetical order, starting with the TACOM stock parts and covering the ammo ones last. So this is sprue A. This gives you the road wheels, the torsion bars, the swing arms, the idlers. There is the drive sprockets, which you do not use. There's a separate set that come with the ammo. And these are quite nice. It's a nice detail on the swing arms. No flash to speak of, other than a little bit on the torsion bars themselves, but you're never going to see them anyway. Really nice. That's the exhaust. The hubs for all the road wheels. The idler, which appears to be fixed. I didn't check with the hull, but it looks like it keys in, so it may not be adjustable. Not a big deal because it is a slack tracked German vehicle. The idler looks pretty nice. It's nice that there's no sink marks and hardly any flash to speak of. Even give you the track hangers, which would be pretty beefy. Those tracks would be awfully heavy. Next sprue. Okay, sprue B, there's only one of these. This is your fenders, side fenders, your rear fenders, some armored cowls for on the exhaust, your front glacis plate. This would be the inside of the glacis plate, which I don't believe you use anyway because there's no interior in this kit, and the rear engine deck for the March 1945 version. Sorry for the lighting here, trying to get some better there. That's the drive sprocket housings. Not too bad. Kind of missing some bolt head detail, but you can't really see it anyway. Tow cables aren't too bad. There is a seam down them. The driver and radio operators hatches, that's the inside. That's fairly nicely done. The top side. Fairly nice standard affair. Some ejection pin marks, but they're all on the underside where you can't see anything. Okay, this is sprue C. This is turret parts. So we have the turret base, the turret roof. We do have some framework for the engine deck for the March version. You get the front mantlet. You get some interior parts that you don't see, your one-piece gun barrel, and your mantlet. As I said, the turret roof isn't quite correct. I did find an electronic version of the Doyle and Gents book. It's kind of a slideshow though, and the pictures are really gummed up. But it was enough for me to get some measurements. So this roof piece needs to be extended about 3 millimeters. So if you look at it sideways, it's got to come straight out to about where this crane mount point is, and then this piece has to be adjusted accordingly, and then the sides of the turret have to be adjusted accordingly. Now I can understand why MiG didn't want to do this. It is rather expensive to cut parts. I mean, yes, they did cut 4 new sprues for this, technically 3, you get 2 of the tracks. But I mean, to cut the turret, when you look at the turret, when we get back to it, I mean, it's a one-piece turret. It's that's a very expensive part. Slide molding is very, very expensive. So I can understand why they didn't do it. It is a little disappointing that they didn't do it. I think that with a little bit of work, the turret roof could have been redone and included some little fillets on the side, so that when you glue it onto the top of the original turret body, it would blend in fairly well. But it is what it is. Like I said, I will be cutting this out and rearranging things and making it correct for the July 45 version. Okay, this is sprue D. This is more hatches, self-defense devices, fire extinguisher, fairly nice fire extinguisher. A lot of grab handles, commander's cupola. They do give you clear bits for the periscopes. I'll show you that in a minute. The loader's hatch, 2-piece, inside, outside. Again, no flash. There's a new kit. The TACOM kit, like last year, was 2016. Okay, this is sprue G. There's a lot of bips and bobs on here you're not going to use. There is the front fenders, some extra tools, vent covers, jack, which is pretty nice. Nice shovel. Track assembly cable, more jack parts. These pieces are not used. I believe they are for the ammo storage racks for the interior version. Get a few headlights, periscope covers, another MG34 for the front. Although supposedly the July 45 version was supposed to have an STG-44 mounted, which they don't include in here. I'm not sure. Nobody seems to know how they'd mount in the balls. But I might figure that out. Another fire extinguisher. Pretty simple fare. Now this is sprue S. This is the last sprue before we go on to the ammo specific sprues. So here you have the rear hull plate, and the error that I noticed here, if the drawings are correct, is for these 2 ports. These are covered by an armor cover, and what these are access ports to adjust the idler wheel back and forth for your track tension. And it appears in the drawings that the covers are actually too far to the middle in comparison to the armored covers on the outside. I actually did print off, oh sure, I didn't print off those ones, I printed off side views. But where the armored covers go, there's a row of bolts on each side, and the outside bolts, from the looks of the drawings, the outside bolts on the armor covers line up with the inside bolts of these covers, so they're supposed to be out just a little bit. It's just a little bit of filling if that's necessary, if you're a bit of a nitpicker that way. I'm going to see how much work it really is. I might do it just for giggles. Some other pieces for the mantlet. I believe this is for the Porsche model, because that's certainly what that looks like it's for. You also get a different rear plate and hatch. It was simplified for the 1945 for the March, and also supposedly for the July versions. Okay, now we go on to the MiG stuff. Oh, wait, the clear parts. So this is sprue Z, or Z for us in Canada and those who speak the Queen's English. This is all the periscope parts, and it looks like headlamp parts too. Pretty impressive. Nice, clear, no air bubbles, nothing for warpage. I should note that all the parts come in these kind of resealable bags. They don't come in the usual polyethylene type smooth plastic. These are all restickable, resealable. So now we go on to the ammo parts. Okay, the first ammo sprue we have is sprue H. Now that includes the 105mm gun, complete with the muzzle brake, the new engine deck, the new drive sprockets that you'll use for both the July and March versions. You get different, or I guess extra, track hangers, foliage loops. The engine access is 3 doors instead of 2, and they give you all 3. This also has the anti-aircraft armor that normally you get. You'd get like Voyager or Lion Roar or Aber photo etch parts for that, but they give you these, and these you'd only use on the March version. The newer driver and radio operators hatches, which were much simplified, as well as the rear hatch, which was much simplified, plus the new radiator housings. The front gun mantlet, which is surprisingly smooth. I'll have to check the references and see how rough they're supposed to be. And some new front fenders as well, which are significantly different. They're much more ribbed. And you also get your rangefinder housings. Next sprue. Okay, this is sprue J. This is pretty much just night vision equipment. And another very nice MG34 instead of an MG42, which is okay. I've got MG42s from some of Dragon stuff. So a little bit of copper wire on here, and these will look pretty sharp if you want to do a night fighting version. That's that 34 with the bipod. Alright, this is sprue K. You get 2 of these. These are the tracks, and these represent the final single pin design, where there is a male and female end on the track, and they interlink together like so. You get link and length. So you get a top and a bottom, as well as the slats going up the sides for the drive sprocket and the idler, and then you make up the rest with the individual links. Now, to give you an idea, these are the transport tracks. I use these on my Jagdpanther, the Amusing Hobby one, but this is very similar. Forgive the gunk on them. I use them to mark the ground, but this gives you an idea of what the regular King Tiger tracks would have looked like. So you have a link that has a set of cleats on it, and then there's an intermediate link in between, and then there's an end link on the side. So it's a fairly complicated affair, and they just went to a simple, much more simple design. There are some ejector pin marks on the inside. Most of them are proud, meaning they are above the plastic.
and I don't see any in between the teeth. Everything's on the edges, so you should be okay that way. Just a little sanding. There's the odd one that's a little dimple in, but it's not too bad. Of course, if you want to spend the the 50 some odd dollars, Canadian for the Furl or the Spade Ace sets, you can certainly do that as well. I've got a set, but I might save those for a Panther King, or a King Panther, yeah, a Panther 2 kit down the road. Okay. Okay, here's the decals. There's 8 different schemes, color schemes on the color plates that I'm going to show. Not all of them use decals. They seem fairly thin. The register's good. All the crosses or the black and white are all on register. Don't know if MIG print these or if Takom do it or if they third party it somewhere, but they look pretty nice. See how well they stick down when we get to that stage. So here's the color book. These have the 8 color schemes, and I was a little taken aback when I first pulled this out and tried to open it because I'm thinking that it's like a book, but it's not. It's more like a poster. So you get 8 different versions. Typical tritonal ambush pattern. A full-on primered version. Flip to the other side. You get a nice tritonal geometric version. And all the colors are in MIG ammo colors. Another tritonal ambushish pattern. Kind of an octopus type pattern. These are all supposed to be the July 45s. And then a 2-tone pattern as well. All of the July ones that they show on here look like they have the 105 mounted. Yeah, looks like they have all the 105 mounted. So also included in the kit were these nice brochures of MIG ammo products, their oil brushers, the metallics, acrylic colors, their aircraft weathering, and just their regular weathering products. So if you've never used MIG products before, they give these nice little brochures. I personally have never used MIG product before. I've never had them until now. I've been using Tamiya paints since they first came out in the 80s. I recently started using some Vallejo because the local shop sells them. But as part of the pre-order with this kit, I actually picked up a set of these, which is the red primer, the red brown, and a gray base. I wish I would have gotten, or could have gotten, something else like a 5-color pack in the standard camo colors just to see what they were like. But unfortunately, they were listed as out of stock for the pre-order, and this was the only set that was available when I did the order. But I'll use them in something. One of the Panther 2s, or maybe a Panther F or something else that I'm working on.
So I hope the inbox review was informative for everybody. For me, I'm a little torn with the kit. The old school, the 1990s modeler in me is telling myself that because this is such an esoteric kit and it's never been available in plastic before, that I should just accept that there are some things that are just going to be inherently wrong with certain releases and be thankful that it was ever released in the first place. That's the 1990s guy, back when Dragon put out their Panther F and their Panther 2 and their Maus and their E100, and information wasn't overly easy to come by. A lot of the reference material we take for granted today wasn't available. The internet didn't exist realistically at the time that a lot of those kits came out. And even when the information was coming out, the wall and the Iron Curtain was falling. Russia was just starting to really open up. So a lot of this information that was kind of buried hadn't been consolidated yet. So part of me wants to kind of forgive that. That being said, another part of me, the modern modeler, says that with all the information that's available in print nowadays, all the information that's available online, all the knowledgeable people that are out there, there's no excuse for putting out a kit that lacks basic, accurate dimensions and shapes. There's just no excuse for it. You know, the book that I was talking about, the Steifer book by Jensen Doyle, that book came out in 1997, 20 years ago, and has accurate drawings. Now, unlike, say, a Panther II, where somebody could say, well, you know, you can't really have an accurate turret for it because one was never really designed or developed. The project was canceled in late 43, I believe, with only the lower hull being completed. So there's no real turret design. So everybody just kind of throws a schmall term on it and calls it good because we really don't have any other reference than that, other than a few bits and pieces, but not enough to piece a whole turret together. In this case, there were blueprints, there were bill of material listings, there were machinist drawings. All this information is available. The only reason this vehicle never got built in real life is because the Allies overran the plant before anything could be produced. If had the war gone on for another 2 or 3 months, there probably would have been a couple of dozen of these running around. So realistically, it's not like this is really a paper Panzer per se. It's a vehicle that was planned and was intended to be built, just never happened. The war ended too soon. So realistically, I'm looking at it as, while the turret itself isn't a huge deal, and like I said, most people probably wouldn't even know the difference. I will. A lot of other paper Panzer guys will, which is what this is marketed towards. And you know, you were cutting new molds anyway. It's great that you gave us night vision, but why not a correct turret? I would have preferred a correct turret to night vision. And for those people who say, well, you know, you're a rivet counter. No, I build paper Panzers. This is one of the few where all the information's available. You're cutting new molds anyway. For the price of the kit, $85 Canadian is what it worked out to for me. That's about the same price as the TACOM kit with the full interior, and I'm getting a lot less for the same amount of money. Yes, it's a limited edition, I understand that. But combined with shipping costs from Spain, because they sent it FedEx, I didn't have any choice in that, so that was like $35 Canadian, and then because it came FedEx, they wanted money at the door for customs, so that was another 25 bucks. So it was like $135 for this thing. Realistically, I would have expected better, especially from somebody like Ammo and TACOM. And for those that say, well, you know, that's what the aftermarket's for. BS. Total BS. That is not what the aftermarket's for. The aftermarket is for things like metal gun barrels, metal track links, photo etch, cable sets. Not corrections. Not in this day and age. That is not acceptable to me. It's happening a lot with Dragon, and I'm really disappointed to see it with this. That being said, from the looks of it, you can build a March 45 version, from what I can see, with very little, if any, issues. The build itself should go together pretty well. It's just, I'm really disappointed in that turret, because that is one thing that is a really unique feature of this. That's one of the two things, the turret and the engine deck, that make this different from other King Tigers, and they only got it half right. Enough ranting. Take it as it will. If you want to build the March version, go to town. I'm going to try and correct this. I've been told there's already a correction set coming out from somebody else. If Ammo redoes this, maybe they can redeem themselves. I don't know. I know people in the injection molding industry and that, and I know how expensive parts can be to do, and it's just disheartening that it wasn't done right the first time. So thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any constructive comments, put it in the comment section below. If I said something that ticked you off and you want to give me a thumbs down, tell me what ticked you off so I can reply to that. Okay? And thank you very much. We're up to, I believe as of today, 460 subscribers. So that's awesome. We're really starting to go places. And I'm going to try and concentrate more and more on the Paper Panzer thing. That seems to be what a lot of guys are messaging me about, because there doesn't seem to be a lot of people on YouTube dealing with that aspect. So I'm going to be starting to collect a lot more reference. I was told today, I got an email today that apparently my Amusing Hobby Panther II prototype kit is coming out, is being shipped sometime this week or early next, and that the production version is going to be coming out next month sometime. So I'll give you some updates on that. And the Sturm Panther diorama is still plugging on. The figures are just kicking my butt. I'm just lost my mojo on those, but I seem to have got something new here going on with that. So hopefully that'll bring me back into the fold with that thing so I can get that sucker done, because it's been almost a year and the kit's been done for like 6 months. But anyway, again, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it, guys. Talk to you later.